everything will tokenize, while we believe that someday everything will tokenize, it is going to take us a while to get there. What we've tried to do at DTCC is really we're trying to take 55 years of evolving the U.S. capital markets, one of the largest capital markets in the world, and we're really trying to digitize that in a matter of like 50 weeks.
Welcome to Tokenized, the show focused on stablecoins and the institutional adoption of tokenized real-world assets. My name's Simon Taylor. I'm your host for today, author at FinTech Brain Food and head of market dev over at Tempo. And there is no Kai today. He's actually taking some time off. Guy's had quite a big year, but don't worry, you'll hear his voice soon because we recorded our 2025 processing 3.7 quadrillion securities transactions annually, with custody of over $100 trillion in assets. When you buy an Apple stock through Fidelity, DTCC is what actually clears and settles that trade at the last leg. This is not a synthetic derivative or an IOU. This is actual real-world assets, real obligations being tokenized. And this is in the same week that Securitize are launching their real, not synthetic stocks on chain. So, Nadeem, we couldn't have a better guest to talk through this. Talk us through the journey to get to where you are today and what you're hoping for now that these stocks will increasingly be available as tokens.
So it's been an exciting week, but it's been years in the making. So we joined DTCC, myself, Dan Doney, and a whole bunch of us about 2 years ago when DTCC purchased the fintech that we were leading. It's named Securrency. And Securrency, actually the same platform, the same technology, was actually the backbone that allowed WisdomTree many years earlier to achieve its first SEC authorizations to launch some of the first tokenized money market mutual funds actually in the industry. So 2 years ago, actually last week was our 2-year anniversary when we joined DTCC, and we had been working on how do we extend what DTCC does into the digital, the DeFi world. That is really the vision that we have, is how do you bridge between TradFi and DeFi. And listen, there's a lot of people with very strong opinions of what that depositories won't be needed in the future, that we don't want anything that's centralized, all that good stuff. And what we actually tried to do was show them that there's actually value to have organizations like DTCC really help with that process. Now, what happens in 5 or 10 years, I don't know. My guess is it will continue to evolve and we'll do what we do a bit differently. But you needed somebody right now to be able to do tokenization in a way that continued to protect investor protections. I'm sorry, that's probably 2 protections in one sentence, not a good thing. Really extend it with all the legal rights and obligations that go with it. And what a depository does, which is really important, Simon, is we are also the good control location. When you have an issuer like Apple, let's assume they issue 1,000 shares. How do you make sure after the 1,000 shares get tokenized and those get tokenized and those get tokenized that there's still fundamentally 1,000 shares? And that's really what the depository does, among other things that we do. So extending that into the digital world, I think it's also important to acknowledge that our hypotheses, and I think you'll agree with that, is while we believe that someday everything will tokenize, it is going to take us a while to get there. What we've tried to do at DTCC is really we're trying to take 55 years of evolving the U.S. capital markets, one of the largest capital markets in the world, and we're really trying to digitize that in a matter of like 50 weeks. Obviously, there's been a lot of work and foundational work that occurred before that, and I'll give you some stats here. It's like, you said we settle for $4 quadrillion a year, which is true. I don't know if you guys know how many zeros are in a quadrillion. I had to Google that my first time. So you get anybody want to take and you can't Google it right now.
Is it 16?
You're close, 15. Right, or put $100 trillion on our platform. Like we had grandiose ideas on how we can transform the markets, but not at the scale. So you need scale, you need resiliency, and there's no better institution that can enable all that. So it was a matter of like, how do we enable the market? How do we give participants and consumers choice? You can tokenize or you don't. You can continue to use the old ways or the new ways. But if you want to engage in the brand new world of DeFi and test your investment hypotheses, we wanted to give the market on-ramps and off-ramps that they could do that. And this week, the SEC agreed with that, and hence we commence our journey.
It's a big moment.
Yo, did you just hear that, bro? Did you hear that, Aqua? I'm gonna run that one back real quick. I think Aqua might be up from his camera, but what? Did y'all hear what she just said right now? Come on now, y'all. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? As we have people roll in, as always, just doing these evening calls for you guys, streaming some of the research that is shared inside the Private CyberX Discord. That was, I'm not gonna butcher her name. Hold on, let's go in. How do you pronounce it? Nadine Chakar, the global head of DTCC Digital Assets. Let's run that one back because I'm pretty sure she just said the SEC gave the DTCC the go-ahead to provide services in the DeFi ecosystem. If I'm hearing that correctly, okay, let me know in the chat if y'all heard what she just said before I run this back. Give me a fire emoji. That was nasty. Hold up. Sheesh. Hold on. Okay, let's run that one back.
For sure. And I think
participants and consumers choice ideas on how we can transform the markets, but not at the scale. So you need scale, you need resiliency, and there's no better institution that can enable all that. So it was a matter of like, how do we enable the market? How do we give participants and consumers choice? You can tokenize or you don't. You can continue to use the old ways or the new ways. But if you want to engage in the brand new world of DeFi and test your investment hypotheses, we wanted to give the market on-ramps and off-ramps that they could do that. And this week, the SEC agreed with that, and hence we commence our journey.
it's a big moment for sure. And I think it was Vlad Tenev of Robinhood.
Man, I wish Aqua was at his computer right now. That was an absolute banger. Bro, are you at your computer now? Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I'm here. I just missed what you had, what you're going over right now because my daughter was wilding out right now. But I'm here now, and yeah, what's cooking, bro?
Bro, listen to what Nadine Chakar just said from the DTCC. This was, by the way, mind you guys. Okay, hold on. This, what I'm sharing with you all, was posted just 5 hours ago from the Tokenized podcast. Had Nadine Chakar, global head of digital assets at DTCC, and a couple of other people that this podcast interviewed today. And just, bro, listen to what she said about the SEC and how they're giving the DTCC the green light to move forward in the DeFi ecosystem.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm gonna run it all the way back to the beginning at 4 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I'm down.
Said that to get to where you are today and what you're hoping for now that these stocks will increasingly be available as tokens.
So it's been an exciting week, but it's been years in the making. So we joined DTCC, myself, Dan Doney, and a whole bunch of us about 2 years ago when DTCC purchased the fintech that we were leading. It's named Securency. And Securency, actually the same platform, the same technology, was actually the backbone that allowed WisdomTree many years earlier to achieve its first SEC authorizations to launch some of the first tokenized money market mutual funds actually in the industry. So 2 years ago, actually last week was our 2-year anniversary when we joined DTCC, and we had been working on how do we extend what DTCC does into the DeFi world. That is really the vision that we have, is how do you bridge between TradFi and DeFi. And listen, there's a lot of people with very strong opinions of what that depositories won't be needed in the future, that we don't want anything that's centralized, all that good stuff. And what we actually tried to do was show them that there's actually value to have organizations like DTCC really help with that process. Now, what happens in 5 or 10 years, I don't know. My guess is it will continue to evolve and we'll do what we do a bit differently. But you needed somebody right now to be able to do tokenization in a way that continued to protect investor protections. I'm sorry, that's probably 2 protections in one sentence, not a good thing. Really extend it with all the legal rights and obligations that go with it. And what a depository does, which is really important, Simon, is we are also the good control location. When you have an issuer like Apple, let's assume they issue 1,000 shares. How do you make sure after the 1,000 shares get tokenized and those get tokenized and those get tokenized that there's still fundamentally 1,000 shares? And that's really what the depository does, among other things that we do. So extending that into the digital world, I think it's also important to acknowledge that our hypotheses, and I think you'll agree with that, is while we believe that someday everything will tokenize, it is going to take us a while to get there. What we've tried to do at DTCC is really we're trying to take 55 years of evolving the U.S. capital markets, or the largest capital markets in the world, and we're really trying to digitize that in a matter of like 50 weeks. Obviously, there's been a lot of work and foundational work that occurred before that, and I'll give you some stats here. It's like, you said we settle for $250 billion a year, which is true. I don't know if you guys know how many zeros are in a quadrillion. I had to Google that my first time. So you get anybody want to take and you can't Google it right now.
Is it 16?
You're close, 15. Right. But, or put $100 trillion on our platform. Like we had grandiose ideas on how we can transform the markets, but not at the scale. So you need scale, you need resiliency, and there's no better institution that can enable all that. So it was a matter of like, how do we enable the market? How do we give participants and consumers choice? You can tokenize or you don't. You can continue to use the old ways or the new ways. But if you want to engage in the brand new world of DeFi and test your investment hypotheses, we wanted to give the market on-ramps and off-ramps that they could do that. And this week, the SEC agreed with that, and hence we commence our journey.
Yo, this might be the most bullish shit I done ever. Like, I'm not even trying to trip right now, but that is crazy, bro. The motherfucking SEC just gave the DTCC confirmation that they can participate in DeFi, y'all.
That is massive. That's like beyond massive. Wow. Holy shit.
Yo. Are you good? Because I'm tripping right now.
When did this video come out?
Bro, 5 hours ago.
Oh my God. Damn. The fire. And this is the same Nadine that said, get in, the water is warm.
Get in, the water is warm. Y'all, come on now. This is why being a part of the CyberX community is just nuts.
Yeah, bro. Dang, ain't nobody talking about this right here. This is
how many views does this have? Bro, this has 64 views.
Damn. That makes sense though. All this stuff is usually tucked. It's always tucked away. Nobody finds it. Nobody talks about it. And for whatever reason, it goes over most people's heads that come across it here on X when we're talking about it for whatever reason. But this is massive. Massive.
Yeah. This is just such a great end of the year find, because imagine how many people's brains are just in turmoil right now with the whole pullback that's taking place, thinking that this ecosystem's dead. Meanwhile, you got head of digital assets at DTCC saying that the SEC just gave them the green light to jump into DeFi with quadrillions.
15 zeros, she said.
So, I mean, yeesh, what a way to get this off. Yeah. I'm speechless. Chat, what's going on, guys and gals? I see you guys. We got Cereal Bowl in the chat. We made it. What's going on? Cheyenne.
Yo, she even said we're digitizing in 50 weeks. What we've done in like 50, 55 years, we're trying to digitize it in 50 weeks.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth. They're trying to compact. They know what's up. They know that if they don't get on board, they're going to get left behind, bro. They're trying to fast track everything.
Yeah, 1000% they are.
The people that think that this is going to take, I do believe it's obviously, of course, going to be a slow, drawn out process, right? But the people that think it's going to take another 5-10 years, oh, no. Nah.
Yeah, nah, we're far past that, I feel like, for sure. But man, geez, this is massive news. I mean, this makes me feel bullish to just continue to buy more and continue to buy more and continue to stack, continue to participate in DeFi. Nowhere at no point in these past, I would say 90 days, I haven't even flinched. And my portfolio has taken a massive hit, but like, I'm not tripping. I know exactly where we're headed. And this is just another many cherries on top of proof that where we're headed is where we're headed. Like this
And
is
honestly,
crazy.
what we've been talking about in this community for the longest time, that these institutions are coming to DeFi. Everybody thought like it was going to be, cross-border remittances and this and that was going to bring the institutions in. Nah, it was going to be DeFi, collateral, yield generation, putting their capital to work.
100%. 1000%. DeFi is, man. Ah, man, we've been saying it for almost 2 years plus now too. So this is
let's continue. Let's see what else this podcast, because bro, we're only 5 minutes into this podcast.
Oh, we got more juice. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready.
And I haven't watched it yet. This is my first time watching it too with everybody else. So we're in for a treat. This live call already has more people than this video has views.
Well,
so we're in for a treat.
Yeah, definitely a treat. Well, I'm ready. Let's get it cracking for sure.
It's a big moment for sure, and I think it was Vlad Tenev of Robinhood said that tokenization would be the biggest thing to happen since dematerialization, and of course the DTCC itself really grew up in the ending of paper stock certificates and the forming of depositories. So now surely it gets to pass the torch to tokenization. But there was also this narrative at the moment of the amount of things where distribution of existing assets is really a leg up into tokenization. If you already have cash, if you already have customers, if you already have stocks, you're the right place to do it. But we have seen these synthetic wrapper products before, where it's an SPV or something else. Talk to me about why it's important that this is not a synthetic wrapper around the stock. The token really is the legal rights and obligations and claims to that stock.
At least it's important the way we view the market, right? Again, we look at our role in the market to ensure stability, to ensure that there's deep liquidity, and obviously investor protection. So the best way we could think of doing that was to extend, if you will, the offerings that we do in TradFi into DeFi, so in the digital space. We are creating digital twins, so you can actually move the assets on multiple wallets, depending on what your investment strategies and your risk tolerance are. We also wanted to make sure that by being able to ensure that it is a real good representation of that asset. Again, I go back to the good control location. Somebody's got to account for that. Somebody's got to ensure that there's governance. So I'm not saying the other models work or don't work. Honestly, where we're at right now in the marketplace, every single innovation is a step forward to get us to the place that we're all trying to get to go to. And I view the way we've decided to do it the hard way. For example, there's nothing harder in what we do. Is probably the less sexy thing that we do is corporate actions, right? Paying dividends, paying income, doing mergers. That is very hard to do on chain. And we've taken the past couple of years to be able to figure out how do you process it on chain, but there's also protection of the underlying participant, right? There's protection of data. So from a technology perspective, it is an amazing problem to solve. And this is where you see DTCC emerging into a true technology enabler and provider. So all the things that people think about centralized depositories, we would like to think that we sort of shattered that myth. And Simon, I don't know if you and your listeners may have looked at what we did earlier in April. We did something called the Great Collateral Experiment. Granted, no marketing people were hurt trying to name that experiment. But what we were able to show is the technology is no longer the problem, right? Like we've got good technology that works. We were able to show how you can combine crypto assets with traditional assets. We were able to show how you can move collateral at the speed of the network. We were able to show, God forbid there's another bankruptcy like Lehman, we could return the assets. We know where they are every single step of the minute, every single minute of the day. I'm sorry. We know exactly where these assets are. Should something bad happen, we can, and this is where we use a very proprietary methodology. It's called a compliance aware token. So again, we're highly regulated. We need to make sure that I know who Simon is, that Simon is a good guy. Simon's use of funds are legit. And then you and I can then exchange our tokens 24/7, as long as I can recognize your wallet and move things around. So we were able to shatter this myth that depositories, we know our role in the future is going to change. I don't believe we're going to disappear. I think what we do and how we do it will change. And you're starting to see this evolution with the first steps that we're taking today.
Marique, what are your thoughts, questions, comments?
Well, a lot. One, I think it's huge. So indeed, like Nadine, congrats. And it sounds like it's been quite a journey, and there is more to come. When I saw that, I was like, oh, the Larry Fink vision is also coming too, right? We hear tokenization of financial markets, which on reflection, I remember, when I was at Circle, like almost 10 years ago, Jeremy was also talking about tokenization of everything. Except 10 years ago, people thought you were crazy if you were saying that. And to me, this is like, now it's starting to really happen. And you have this very huge component of the infrastructure system that are doing that. So that's thought number one, which is like, we are getting on this realization of the journey. My thought number two was, oh, I wonder what it would take in other geographies to get to the same level, right? And actually the realization that with DTCC, you have a unique, like humongous player, which basically can therefore also show the way to a much more fragmented market behind that for anything that's stock related. So I think that will definitely be charting the way forward in terms of what other continents and what other geographies might actually be doing. So I think a lot of eyes are going to be on that. And I mean, my third thought is more like, it's more technical, but I was wondering, because it's the beginning of the journey, but which chains are you going to use, or how is that all going to work? Because I think there's going to be a lot, and a lot of eyes looking into that, given the volumes and given the size of it. I think there's going to be a lot to look into that. But again, congrats. I think it's huge, and it's definitely getting into this tokenization of everything that we've been talking about for decades.
Thank you. And you're absolutely right. I mean, all our clients are global in nature, our participants. So while we're starting the journey in the US, and you notice these tokens, once you issue them and release them, they can move anywhere they want to move to, right? So they become global in nature, and we've taken great pains, if you will, to ensure that wherever jurisdictions they operate in, that they're compliant with the local rules and regulations. But again, we would advise all our participants and users of these tokens to get their own advice as we started this podcast. And you're absolutely right on the chains. I think you saw yesterday we announced the first chain that's out there, which is that we've partnered with, which is Canton. To your point, there is not one chain that's going to be able to handle the volumes that we're looking at. So by definition, we will be looking at other chains, but they need to satisfy requirements that are going to make our regulators comfortable that there's nothing funny happening behind the scenes. And I think you guys have seen the stories this week. So, we take great pain to ensure that from a legal and regulatory perspective, all these chains are above board. And what DTCC is working on is to, as we add these chains into our ecosystem, that we would have an orchestration layer that covers it, right? So if you tell me, all right, mint today on...
Okay, hold up. I need to back that up. I'm pretty sure that she just said that they chose Canton.
She definitely did.
But just to give some clarity, that's not to show Canton, because she also said that they are in the future going to be choosing some other chains too. So I think, honestly, the DTCC just confirmed multiple survivors.
Most definitely, bro. Most definitely. That's wild that she said Canton. That's crazy.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, don't sleep on Canton. I've been trying to tell people. But, nonetheless, I think that means, collectively speaking, if she's sitting here confident enough, think about it logically, to say on a panel discussion that in the future they're going to be choosing multiple other chains, they already know what other chains they're going to be choosing, bro.
Yeah, they're just not going to say it right now, for sure. 1,000%. Because,
yeah. God, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, because she basically admitted that not one chain is going to be able to handle all of this stuff. So others will be looked at. And yeah, she's just not going to say who they're looking at, who's in cahoots right now, who's in the pipeline, until it's finalized.
Let's go back, run this back to 14 minutes and just start over what she said, because she wasn't done talking, and I had to get that off my chest, because that was massive, good confirmation right there.
He announced the first chain that's out there, which is that we've partnered with, which is Canton. To your point, rules and regulations, but again, we would advise all our participants, at least them, they can move anywhere they want to move to, right? So they become global in nature, and we've taken great pains, if you will, to ensure that wherever jurisdictions they operate in, that they're compliant with the local rules and regulations. But again, we would advise all our participants and users of these tokens to get their own advice as we started this podcast. And you're absolutely right on the chains. I think you saw yesterday we announced the first chain that's out there, which is that we've partnered with, which is Canton. to your point, there is not one chain that's going to be able to handle the volumes that we're looking at. So by definition, we will be looking at other chains, but they need to satisfy requirements that are going to make our regulators comfortable that there's nothing funny happening behind the scenes. And I think you guys have seen the stories this week. So, we take great pain to ensure that from a legal and regulatory perspective, all these chains are above board. And what DTCC is working on is to, as we add these chains into our ecosystem, that we would have an orchestration layer that covers it, right? So if you tell me, all right, mint today on Canton, but tomorrow I need you to move it to Stellar or move it to SWI or wherever we want to go, Ethereum, we'll be able to do that while maintaining the appropriate records. So I think.
Whoa.
Did she just? She said Stellar, SUI, Ethereum.
Whoa! What the fuck, bro?
Wow.
This is mad confirmation that the DTCC is well aware of the same projects that we are locked into. Soy, Stellar.
Dang, that's crazy that she just named those off right now.
Yeah, this is mad wild right now, honestly. I mean, we're gonna keep it going, but sheesh.
Damn. Yeah.
That's going to be super important, and that would be another phase, if you will, of where we'll head. Because yes, the headline today is we're going to tokenize everything, but in my head, it's like, okay, we did that, then what? Right? So we've got to give these tokens mobility, velocity, a purpose. That's where the collateral app chain comes in. This is where some of the orchestration layer comes in, and then working with our participants across the board to create more applications that would add value as we move down the chain.
Chuck, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's incredible, really, and I echo the congratulations. These are many years in the coming, and I remember when I was working at Paxos, one of the first things that we did, we were working, and you may remember, Nadine, we were working to build a clearing agency that would plug into the DTC and enable the immobilization and then clearing and settlement of securities, and then pass them back into the DTC when needed. And I think one thing that folks probably don't appreciate about what securrency and now within DTCC is doing is this incredible innovation within such a large system that processes so much and has so many rules and regulations and processes that have been going on for decades to adhere to. And we mentioned at the beginning of the section that this is not a wrapper, it's not an SPV, it is the direct share. It's as close as you can in this current system, which is the security entitlement. And we're about to talk about another model, which is also the direct share, that's Securitize. And, Securrency and Securitize are the two kind of pioneers of the space, right? And they have a different set of constraints where there aren't the same set of rules and regulations. It is brand new, and they have to kind of operate in a way where, yes, the user can hold a token and be on the cap table of the customer, or the customer here being the issuer, the company, but that's an opt-in. And there are a lot of constraints as to how that fits in with existing systems. Versus with the DTCC, everyone knows, all the participants know how that fits in. They know how to reconcile, they know what the equivalent movements are, and being able to do all that innovation within a world where everyone is already participating, the 100 trillion of asset is already sitting, I think puts you in a great position to move more of the kind of standard flows on chain. And so I think that's a unique point where I think both systems will need to coexist, that you don't get the 3.7 quadrillion of trade settlement without the efficiencies of clearing in a kind of centralized way. But you need to be able to add the tokenization in a world where the existing participants are working and all the rules and the processes are well understood.
Indeed.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chuck, you're spot on, and a great debt of gratitude to the Paxos and Chad's vision earlier on, and also a massive shout out to Frank Lasala, the current CEO of DTCC, and the board, because when they did acquire Securrency, they definitely took a leap of faith that this was going to happen. So their vision for the future actually is panned out very nicely. And to your point, and I think I said it earlier, I think it's very early in the stage to determine if there is a right model or not. So that's why every model is a good step forward. But there's one thing that we need to make sure that we don't do, and we need to work together as an industry, is we can't fragment liquidity, right? Like our markets are the biggest in the world. They're the envy of the world because we've got very deep liquidity pools. So if you go back and take a look at the work we did with NASDAQ, and again, just like the chains, there'll be one of many exchanges, one of many pools that we will work with. So no matter what we do and what models we choose as an industry, there's only one cardinal rule here, maybe two. One is don't fragment liquidity, and two, make sure that ownership is accounted for and well governed. And I think everything else will eventually fall into place as technology gets better, our understanding gets better. And then there's one last piece, which is everybody's excited about this, but the state of readiness of the industry is still not where it needs to be. And I think 26 will be a good transition year, maybe spilling into 27. So we'll have inventory, it'll be available, and check our model as well as opt-in. So we're not, we will need a participant to say, tokenize whatever stock that you have. And the methodology that we've used is they actually can tokenize from traditional into digital, and they can also request to go back from digital into traditional. And we'll give them their positions in both, so they'll get total and how they're broken out. So that will be critical. But what I'm more worried about, I'm somebody who spent my career, on the infrastructure side of the house. So looking at how this transition is going to occur from very traditional systems into this new brave world, converting from account-based systems into wallets, that is not, and that is something that still, I think that on back offices are still grasping with, and we'll help on that journey.
It's non-trivial. Nadine, I think I'm echoing everybody. I want to say congratulations again. And we look forward to many more things to come from you. If people want to find out more about what you've been up to, or if they do want to opt in, maybe they are in the industry and, they're building a neobank and they're building a brokerage, or they're sort of clearing agent, and they want to look at this and if it can make a difference for them, where do they go to do that?
So we would love to hear from everybody, whether you're an advocate or not. So we'll talk to one and all. I would urge you to go to the DTCC.com website. We have a microsite there where we have the FAQs. We've got the NAL letter. We also have, if somebody would like to become a DTC participant, we'll walk you through all that. And if all fails, just come to me, and I'll be happy to assist. But the website is probably a good place to go. We've gone through great length to put all that information, and we update it pretty much a couple of times a day.
Well, thank you very much, Nadine. We'll have you back on the show many times.
I would love
sure
that. Thank you so much, Simon, and happy holidays to all. Thank you.
Congrats again.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you. Congrats again.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. The next story this week.
Yeah, so I don't know who's speaking next. That's really the only person I wanted to hear speak in this podcast. Now, I have maybe a couple more minutes to stream with you guys today. As always, for those of you all who are maybe new to this stream here in the Wealth 28 Club podcast, throughout the week, we are going to be streaming some of the panel discussions and the video breakdowns and clips that are shared inside the private CyberX Discord. There's literally hundreds of them shared on a daily basis, like so much can't even keep up. But these are all the panel discussions that go relatively unnoticed, all the summits that take place, all of the blockchain coordinated organizations that host these talking events. They all get shared in the Discord. These are all the video breakdowns that people should be paying their attention to, instead of the bullish moonboy hopium and hype, but for some odd reason don't. So these are the ones that we're going to stream. We're going to click on and just randomly watch and break down some of the content that is in these videos, like we did today, just kind of talking when we have the chance to hear something. One that I did see pop up down here, I didn't even scroll up to the freaking top. There was a panel right here. There's a lady from TradeWeb where they talk about Canton. I don't know if you guys want to dive into this one. This one seems good. At tokenized repo markets on Canton. Since we heard Nadine go on to mention and talk about how they just recently partnered with the Canton network, I felt like that maybe fit the script for today's call. If not, if you guys don't want to dive into that one, there's this one too. We know this gentleman here. Here's a co-founder of Canton. Looks like he was just on a podcast recently with the DTCC called Quadrillions. There's another one. Where's he at? Paul Brody. We're very familiar with Paul Brody. Here he is. Paul Brody was on a podcast as well recently. Seems like this is probably going to be one of those podcasts that doesn't have a lot of views. The gentleman, global blockchain leader from EY, we like to have him up on the panels. He's always saying good, juicy stuff. Aqua, what are you feeling, bro? This one or the one on Canton?
Man, that's tough because that's my boy right there. I would say maybe part of that Canton one, and then the Paul Brody one for sure. But
we can run the Paul Brody one. It's only 5 minutes.
Yeah, all right, let's do that one then. That's first. Yeah, let's do it.
What were you going to say about Canton?
It just came out of nowhere. Like I mean, thanks to you, I became aware of Canton, but I've never heard of Canton outside of this, and they are super well connected. This is crazy.
Bro, you know, the crazy part is, to kind of go off what you just said, that Canton came out of nowhere. They actually didn't, bro. They've been around. The Canton Network's been around for quite some time. And the team that built Canton Network has actually been building in this space since 2009, like since the early days.
Yeah.
Did you see the breakdown that I did about DAML, the DAML, the language model that's embedded into Canton?
No, I didn't see that. Damn, that's
been around since Bitcoin and Ethereum early days, bro.
Man, I guess it's like I don't see anybody on X talking about it or anybody talking about it. Like, you know what I mean? So,
dude, it's totally under the radar. And if you haven't already watched the video upload that I did yesterday for the private members on Canton,
yeah,
dude, you should go back and watch that, because you know how we've been very focused on AML, KYC, SOC compliance, and BSA compliance, right?
Right.
Yeah, Canton's both, bro.
Dang. Okay. Yeah, no, that's mad legit. And deserves, man.
So yeah, definitely lock in and do some research on Canton. But we'll play this Paul Brody one real quick. See if he says anything good. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But this one's only 9 minutes, so we'll rock with this one real quick.
Okay.
I care. Thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to be here today. Privacy is a topic I care very, very deeply about. And many of you may know I and EY really have been working on this tool and technology called Nightfall for the past few years. So what I'm going to do today very quickly is give you a speed run update on where is Nightfall, how are we progressing, and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the share button. And hopefully I correctly so that you can see my Nightfall update. And somebody will tell me if I got it wrong. No, okay, sounds like it's somewhat visible. So what is Nightfall? So basically, we are building two things here at EY for enabling privacy. The first is called Nightfall. It's in version 4. We're in version 4 now. It is a ZK rollup that basically allows for standardized functions for very high volume, privacy-enabled payments, transfers, and swaps. We can handle up to 400 million transactions a day, roughly 4,000 at its maximum capacity. It's designed to be scalable, and it's fully it's fully EVM compatible. So you can deploy it basically on top of any EVM compatible blockchain. Very importantly, Nightfall is public domain open source code, and it's a privacy protocol. Nightfall has a sister technology called Starlight. And the issue with Nightfall is we wanted to build something that would enable very significant, scalable, simple transactions like payments and transfers and swaps. But we also have this understanding that for businesses especially, privacy means the ability to do complex business transactions under privacy with customized business logic. Every business agreement, and apologies if you heard me say this before, it's money for stuff under the terms of some kind of agreement. So we've got money tokenized, we have stuff tokenized, and it's easy to move them around. But what happens when you have customized business rules? Those business rules, if you run them into clear, you're exposing the same kind of super sensitive information. Starlight lets you take a standard Solidity smart contract, mark it up, and turn it into a zero-knowledge circuit. And the goal over time was for these two things to work together so that you can basically model and take any kind of business application tool or process and deploy it under privacy. Believe it or not, Paul Brigner made a very generous kind of reference to this. We've been working on this for a while. I joined EY in 2015 and started the blockchain practice. This is our 10th anniversary. And very quickly, we were like, wow, the most important thing we have to do is build privacy because enterprises require it. So here we are. We've been zipping away for 8 years. We showed our prototype back in 2018 at DevCon in Prague. And back then, we needed 2 full blocks of the Ethereum blockchain and $100 in gas to execute a single Nightfall transaction. Since then, we've gone through a bunch of different iterations. We had an optimistic version. Now we have a ZK version, and it's deployed in a testnet now, and it will be in production sometime in 2026. And so that to me is super exciting. We've been incredibly consistent in the iteration and performance improvements over time. Our goal is, as I mentioned before, is kind of this full composability and scalability. We're not there yet. Right now, Nightfall exists in one kind of bucket and Starlight exists in the other. But sometime next year, the plan is to get to full interoperability between these different capabilities so that you can have high volume, low cost, simple payments and transfers, along with complex business logic, and you never have to leave a privacy environment. The first network to announce that they were deploying this is Plume. Plume is an Ethereum layer 2 network. It's probably the biggest real world asset network out there. It is currently running. We have a test net up and running on Plume now. The second network, which we announced a few months ago, is Celo. And Celo is another Ethereum layer 2 network, which is really focused on enterprise payments. We also have a test net up and running on Celo as well. So you can go and have a look at that. And I would say we've probably got 1 to 2 more networks that we will be able to announce early next year, which I'm very excited about. So my goal is that by, let's say, early next year, Nightfall will be the most widely deployed privacy technology available in the blockchain ecosystem. Why do I think Nightfall remains really, really important? Like, there's a ton of privacy tools coming out. And one of my key observations is that, there's this joke like men will do anything to fix their problems except for go to therapy. I feel like a lot of blockchain developers will do anything to enable privacy except for actually use full encryption. And this is going to become increasingly important, right? We have a lot of these like mixers and privacy pools and trusted off-chain systems. They kind of seem to work, but I do not believe that they work at scale for enterprise use for a couple of reasons. And the most important is, first of all, you can't use them with non-fungible assets. You can't use them with any kind of customized business logic. But also what we're seeing over and over again is that the best-in-class analytics systems are making it increasingly easy to track your transactions through bridges, through mixers, through privacy pools. And especially if you're a business and you're doing repeat transactions with a business party, right, you're going to make yourself very traceable in these ecosystems. And you're effectively disclosing this data. And I had this aha moment a few months ago. I was at the Technical University of Munich, and the Chainalysis folks were giving a great presentation. They showed stolen money moving through like 2 mixers and a bridge. Right. And all of those things were designed to obfuscate the trail. If they can do that with criminal activities, you can absolutely believe they're going to be able to do that with lots of repeat enterprise transactions that people are not going to extreme lengths to do. So I personally think it's going to be really important as we go into the future to basically put your stuff into a privacy environment and keep it there. Right. And for that, we need scalability. We need programmability, we need composability, but I think the one that we're not talking about enough is permanence. Every time you move stuff in and out of privacy, you are leaking all kinds of critical metadata. And if you're a business and you care about your very sensitive business information, that's not a good thing. That is it for my presentation. We continue with our tradition.
Damn, Paul, let me down today. He didn't say nothing that I really truly care about, even though this project that he's talking about seems pretty fucking intense.
Yeah.
I mean, but it doesn't seem like something we can invest in.
And this last little screen share of his NFT being minted just sheds light though on NFTs. I'll say that NFTs ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, no, 100%. If the blockchain lead at EY is minting NFTs, they're definitely not going nowhere.
Of having new proof of Paul and
But I wonder what this does for the privacy chains, if there are any out there that are going to be competing with what they're building at UI. It seems pretty like, I don't know why they're calling it Nightfall, but seems like some 007 type shit.
Yeah, he said that they're going to be announcing the networks though early next year, right? Like the ones that they're choosing or whatever. That's what I thought I heard.
Yeah, and Brendo was right in the chat. Did say that they're building this out on Plume or in the test environment on Plume for now, and also they're going to launch it on Silo. Sounds something like that, right? I don't know either of those two projects, honest to God. So something maybe to do research on in your spare time.
Yeah, no, that's real.
All right, let's go back over. I'm low-key pinched for time. I don't want to start another call because I only have 20 minutes left. So we'll probably wrap it up there. We have 1,000 people on the call for today. Love seeing you guys come out. In the new year, when me and Aqua are not doing podcasts, what we're going to do throughout the week, regardless if we talk or not on these calls, is we are going to just hop on and we're going to start streaming some of the research that's shared inside the private CyberX Discord, right? So inside the community, we have the CyberX researchers, literally all global team working 24/7 all around the clock to find the best panel discussions, the video breakdowns, all the fundamentals pretty much that never reach the mainstream, all the documents that nobody talks about that come from the largest financial institutions in the game. Literally every single summit that I feel like has happened this year that nobody watched or paid attention to is inside this community. So that'll happen again next year. We'll continue to stream these things and bring them to your attention. If at any point in time you guys want to access this vast catalog of research, you guys can always head over to cyberxtrading.com, lock in with us, whether it's the Wealth 28 Club or whether you jump inside the Discord. We'd love to have you on the team. With that being said, that's all I got. Aquaman, thanks for tuning in. We heard some really great stuff from the DTCC today. If you guys missed that and you jumped into the call late, definitely for sure 110% go back and rewind that, because that was massive confirmation that the DeFi ecosystem is going nowhere, and quadrillions is about to freaking tap in, and they just got the legal clarity from the SEC.
DeFi is the heartbeat of crypto, baby. 1000%.
So blessings to you guys. As always, be cognizant, be aware out there. Happy holidays to all. Be safe. If you're going to be traveling over the next couple of days, make sure that you guys are being awake and aware to your surroundings. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks, Cypress. Peace out, bro. Later, everybody.
See you guys.